Surprisingly, over 90% of viewers haven't subscribed yet. If you're enjoying the content, hit that subscribe button. It motivates us to keep creating and helps us never miss an upload, and you'll never miss a story again. Imagine sitting at your own birthday dinner, surrounded by people you've loved and supported for years, only to have your daughter casually suggest you let your wife have an open marriage. And then hear your own mother call you not a real man. That was my reality. I didn't argue, I didn't shout. I simply stood up, walked out. And the next morning, I made a decision that would change all of our lives forever. What followed was a divorce they never saw coming, a legal battle they couldn't win, and a silence they didn't know how to break. But months later, my phone lit up with 76 missed calls, and when I opened my door, the person they feared the most was standing right behind me. Stay with me, because this story proves that. Sometimes the sweetest revenge isn't loud. It's walking away and letting the consequences speak for themselves. It was supposed to be a simple birthday dinner. I'd taken the day off work, booked a reservation at a nice restaurant, and was looking forward to spending the evening with the people I cared about most. My wife, Anna, our daughter, Chloe, and my mom. We hadn't all been in the same place for a while. Life had gotten busy. I thought this dinner would be a way to reconnect. I even picked the restaurant Anna liked most, the one with the dim lighting, soft jazz, and that dessert she always talked about. I should have noticed the signs earlier in the week. Anna had been distant, texting a lot, smiling at her phone in that way she used to when we first started dating. But not when I was the one on the other end. Chloe had been a little cold, too. I chalked it up to normal teenage moodiness. The night started fine enough. We were seated in a booth tucked in the corner, away from the main bustle of the dining area. The waiter came, took our orders, and poured wine for Anna and my mom. I stuck with water. I've never been much of a drinker, especially when I'm trying to remember the details of a night. We made small talk for a while. Anna talked about some project at her job. Chloe mentioned a new class she was enjoying. My mom told a story I'd heard at least 100 times about how she met my dad. It was fine. And then, right before the entrees arrived, Chloe put her fork down, looked straight at me and said, "Dad, Mom's unhappy. Let her have an open marriage." It felt like someone had yanked the floor out from under me. I stared at her, not sure if I'd heard her correctly. My first thought was that she was joking, some horribly misguided teenage attempt at humor, but her face was calm, serious. I glanced at Anna, expecting her to jump in, to tell Chloe to watch her mouth. But Anna just sat there, lips pressed together, eyes on me. She wasn't shocked. She wasn't even embarrassed. I asked, "Is that what you think?" Anna took a slow sip of her wine before answering. "I think it could help. We've been stagnant. And Chloe's right. I haven't been happy for a while. I don't know what hurt more, the idea itself, or the fact that my own daughter had been brought into it. I was still trying to process when my mom chimed in. Honestly, maybe she's right. If you were a real man, you'd be able to handle this. Times have changed. You're too traditional." I felt my jaw tighten. My mom had never been the warm, supportive type, but hearing that from her, in public, on my birthday, was something else entirely. The waiter returned with our food then, oblivious to the emotional grenade that had just gone off at the table. No one touched their plates. I could have argued. I could have made a scene. I could have begged for an explanation. But something in me snapped in a different way. I didn't feel like giving them the satisfaction of seeing me react. So I reached into my wallet, pulled out enough cash to cover the bill, and placed it neatly on the table. I didn't say a word. I stood up, slid out of the booth, and walked out. I could hear Chloe calling Dad behind me. I could hear my mom sigh, as if I were the one being unreasonable. I didn't turn around. I got in my car, started the engine, and just drove. No destination. I ended up at a park I used to go to when I was younger, back when life felt less heavy. I sat there for a long time, thinking. By the time I got home that night, my mind was made up. There was no saving this, no compromise, no working it out. If they wanted to humiliate me and treat my commitment like a joke, then they could do it without me. The next morning, I called a divorce attorney. I told them I wanted to file immediately. They asked if there was a rush. I said, "Yes, I want this over before my next birthday." Then I started making a list. Everything I'd paid for over the years. The car Anna drove, the tuition for Chloe's private school, the down payment on the house, even the gym membership Anna used more as a social club than for exercise. I wasn't going to take anything that didn't have my name on it, but I wasn't going to leave gifts lying around for people who saw me as a disposable wallet either. By noon, I'd frozen the joint credit card. By 3 p.m., I'd moved my direct deposits to a new account. By dinner time, Anna was blowing up my phone, demanding to know why her card had been declined at the grocery store. I didn't answer. Instead, I started moving my things into storage. I kept the essentials, clothes, documents, my laptop, and packed the rest neatly into boxes. I left her a note on the kitchen counter. "You made your choice. This is mine." That night, I slept better than I had in months, but that was just the start. I wasn't done yet, not by a long shot. The morning after I left that note, I woke up to the sound of my phone buzzing nonstop. Calls, texts, voicemails, all from Anna. Each notification felt like a small reminder of why I was doing this. I didn't listen to a single voicemail, but I could imagine the tone. First confusion, then anger, then bargaining. By 10 a.m., Chloe had joined in. "Dad, this is ridiculous. You're acting like a child. You can't just walk away from your family over one dinner. Mom's crying. Are you happy now?" I didn't reply, not because I didn't have anything to say, but because anything I said in that moment would have been wasted. They weren't ready to listen. They wanted control back. That afternoon, my lawyer called. She'd reviewed the details I sent over and said we could file for divorce that same week. I gave her the green light. She also confirmed that since I'd paid for most of the big-ticket items in my own name, I was well within my rights to reclaim or liquidate them before the divorce was finalized. It's funny. When you're in a marriage, you don't think much about whose name is on what. You're a team. But when that team turns on you, the paperwork becomes a weapon. Step one was the car. I'd bought Anna a brand new SUV 2 years ago. It was registered in my name, paid for entirely by me. That morning, I drove to the house while she was at work, used my spare key and swapped her SUV with an older sedan I'd kept in storage. I left the sedan parked in the driveway with the keys on the seat. The SUV? I took it straight to a dealership and started the process of selling it. Step 2 was the gym membership. Anna loved that place, not for the workouts, but for the social circle. It was where she networked, as she called it. I canceled the autopay and sent an email to the gym's management letting them know I wouldn't be renewing her contract. By the time she went for her next yoga class, the front desk told her her membership had been terminated. The reaction came quickly. By mid-afternoon, my phone lit up with angry messages. "Are you serious? You took the car? You canceled my gym? What is wrong with you?" I didn't reply. I was busy with step 3, the house. We'd bought the house together, but I'd paid the entire down payment, and the mortgage was in both of our names. My lawyer explained that since I was moving out, I wasn't obligated to keep covering all the bills, especially while we were separated. I called the utility companies and had my name removed from every account. By the end of the week, Anna was dealing with overdue notices for the electric and water bills. She tried calling my mom for backup. That's when I realized something important. My mom wasn't just passively siding with Anna. She was actively working against me. I got a text from her one night. "You need to stop this nonsense. She's still your wife. What you're doing is petty and cruel. Be a man and fix this." I stared at that message for a long time. This was the same woman who'd sat at my birthday dinner and told me I wasn't a real man. Now she wanted me to crawl back and make it right. I blocked her number. That was harder than I expected. She's my mother, and there's a part of you that always wants that connection to be salvageable. But there's also a point where self-respect has to come first. In the meantime, Chloe started posting about me on social media. Vague, passive-aggressive posts about men who can't handle strong women and toxic masculinity. Friends of hers I barely knew started leaving comments like, "Wow, your dad sounds awful." It stung, but I didn't engage. I knew every word I said would be twisted. Silence was my shield. By week 2, the reality of my absence seemed to hit Anna harder. She started sending texts that were less angry and more desperate. "Can we talk? Just once? You're really going to throw away 20 years over this? Chloe needs her father." I almost felt bad. Almost. But then I remembered sitting in that booth, my daughter casually suggesting I should let her mother sleep with other men, my wife agreeing, my own mother mocking me. No. They didn't get to rewrite the script now that it wasn't going their way. That weekend, I went to the storage unit where I'd been keeping my things. I opened the boxes one by one. Clothes, books, old photo albums. Some of the photos were hard to look at. Vacations where we'd been happy, birthdays with big smiles, Christmas mornings with Chloe tearing open presents. But those were snapshots of a different reality, a version of my family that no longer existed. I sealed the boxes again and reminded myself why I was doing this. Around the same time, my lawyer called with an update. The divorce papers had been served to Anna. Apparently, she'd been blindsided. Despite all my moves over the last 2 weeks, she didn't think I was actually going to follow through. She's angry, my lawyer said. But here's the interesting part. She hasn't hired a lawyer yet. I smirked. Anna had always been confident she could talk her way out of anything. She probably thought she could guilt me into backing down. She was wrong. Over the next month, I continued reclaiming what was mine. The vacation home we'd been paying off. I transferred my share into a trust for myself. The savings account I'd been funding for Chloe's college. I withdrew every cent and moved it into a new account she couldn't access until she turned 25. And only if she maintained a relationship with me. It wasn't about punishing them financially for the sake of revenge. It was about drawing a clear line. If you treat someone like they're disposable, you don't get to keep benefiting from their support. The silence between us grew. Weeks passed without a single word exchanged. But I knew the real confrontation was coming. People like Anna and my mom didn't just let go. They regrouped, they plotted, and eventually, they made their move. When it happened, it wasn't subtle. It was a Sunday morning when I opened my door to find both Anna and my mom standing there, Chloe behind them. They looked like they'd been arguing with each other before I even opened the door. Anna started in immediately. "This has gone too far. You're ruining your daughter's future. You're humiliating me." My mom added, "You've made your point. Now grow up and fix your family." I leaned against the door frame, calm. "I didn't ruin anything. You did that yourselves." Chloe's eyes darted away, like she wasn't as sure as she'd been before. But neither Anna nor my mom gave any sign of doubt. I didn't invite them in. I didn't raise my voice. I simply said, "This conversation is over. The next time we talk, it'll be through lawyers." And then I closed the door. Through the peephole, I watched them stand there for a moment, stunned, before finally walking away. I knew then that the final act was close, and when it came, it would change everything for them. The weeks after that doorstep confrontation were eerily quiet. No texts, no calls, no social media jabs. For a moment I wondered if maybe they'd finally accepted the separation, but deep down, I knew better. Silence from Anna wasn't surrender. It was strategy. She was the type to bide her time, gather her allies and strike when she thought the timing was perfect. Sure enough, the storm broke one Thursday afternoon. My lawyer called to say Anna had finally hired representation. Not just any lawyer, but the same one my mom had used during her own divorce years ago. It was a calculated move. The message was clear. Mom and Anna were now united in taking me down. "They're going to come for spousal support," my lawyer warned, "and they're going to frame your withdrawal of financial support to Chloe as abandonment." I felt that flicker of anger in my chest. Chloe wasn't a little kid anymore. She was 22. She'd made her own choice to side with her mother and mock me in public. I'd stopped paying for her lifestyle, not her necessities, but I knew how easily they could twist that into a sob story. That night, I sat in my apartment with a glass of water, scrolling through old photos again. Not out of nostalgia this time, but out of strategy. Every memory I had with Anna, every big expense I'd covered, every contract or receipt I'd saved. It was all ammunition now. I pulled out a large binder from my desk drawer. Inside was years of financial records, invoices, bank transfers, meticulous proof that I'd funded almost every major asset in our marriage. I wasn't going to just defend myself in court. I was going to make sure they had no room to claim a single thing that wasn't truly theirs. 2 weeks later, the first court hearing took place. Anna arrived with my mother by her side, Chloe trailing behind them. They didn't so much as glance in my direction as they sat down. When the judge asked why we were there, Anna's lawyer launched into a performance worthy of an awards show. Your Honor, my client has been left without the financial stability she's enjoyed for over 2 decades. She's been humiliated, deprived of her vehicle, her gym membership canceled without warning, and their daughter has suffered emotional abandonment. I almost laughed. Emotional abandonment? This was the same daughter who'd told me, to my face, that I should let her mother have an open marriage. When it was my lawyer's turn, she didn't just counter their claims, she dismantled them. Piece by piece, she presented receipts, bank statements, registration documents. Every vehicle in question was purchased in my client's name with his funds. The gym membership was likewise paid for entirely by him. The down payment on the marital home, my client. The vacation property, my client. The college fund, again, my client. The judge flipped through the binder of evidence, his expression growing more skeptical with each page. Anna shifted uncomfortably in her seat. My mom's jaw tightened. By the end of that hearing, the judge denied their request for temporary spousal support. That was the first crack in their wall, and I knew more were coming. Outside the courthouse, Anna caught up to me. "You think you're clever, don't you?" she hissed. "This isn't over." I looked her dead in the eye. It was over the second you and my mother decided my dignity was negotiable. Then I walked away. The following months were a war of attrition. Every week brought a new petty demand from their side, claims about furniture, accusations that I'd taken sentimental items just to hurt her. Each time, my lawyer produced documentation proving otherwise. Meanwhile, I stayed busy. I wasn't just defending myself. I was building something new. I'd started a small consulting business after leaving, something I'd always wanted to do but never had time for while managing everyone else's needs. It began to grow faster than I expected, and soon I had the income to live comfortably on my own terms. Then came the day that changed the tone of everything. It was late summer when my lawyer called with news. They've dropped most of their claims. I sat back in my chair. Most? All except one, the college fund for Chloe. They're insisting you release it to her immediately. I'd been expecting this. The account had been in my name with her listed as a beneficiary. I'd already moved the funds into a trust with conditions. She wouldn't get access until she was 25, and only if she'd made an effort to maintain a healthy relationship with me. When the judge reviewed those terms, he didn't hesitate. The trust is legal. Mr. Mao is under no obligation to change it. The look on Chloe's face was something I'll never forget. Shock, then anger, then something softer. Maybe the first hint of realization that siding blindly with her mother had consequences. After the final ruling, Anna ended up with far less than she'd expected. She kept a fraction of the marital assets, but most of the big-ticket items were either sold or remained with me. My mother, for all her meddling, got nothing, except the knowledge that her loyalty to Anna had cost her a relationship with her son. I wish I could say I felt triumphant walking out of that courthouse for the last time. In reality, I felt free. Not giddy, not vengeful, just free. A month later, I got an unexpected knock on my apartment door. When I opened it, Chloe was standing there. No Anna, no my mom, just her. "Dad," she said quietly, "can we talk?" I stepped aside, letting her in. She looked around, taking in the modest space. "I didn't realize how much you did for us," she admitted. "I guess I just believed what Mom said." We sat at the table for over an hour. She didn't apologize outright, but she asked questions about my side of the story, about why I'd left the way I did. I told her the truth, not sugar-coated, but not cruel either. By the time she left, I knew our relationship might never be the same as it once was. But at least the door wasn't completely closed. Anna never reached out again. My mom tried once, sending a letter full of half apologies and justifications, but I didn't respond. Some bridges once burned aren't meant to be rebuilt. Now, years later, I look back at that birthday dinner as the moment my life split in two. On one side, there was the man who let other people dictate his worth. On the other, the man who walked away and took back not just his money, but his self-respect. The gift I left them wasn't physical. It was the sudden, undeniable absence of everything I provided, everything they'd taken for granted. And the lesson that absence taught them? That's theirs to live with. As for me, I learned that sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's simply reclaiming your life and letting the silence speak for you.